So now that we're preparing for the 32nd annual conference, I looked back and saw that in 2013, you actually did a presentation yourself. It was called Laughter for the Mental Health of It. Now, I'm going to ask you why you felt it was important to do that, but I also want to mention it's kind of interesting that right now is a huge, huge thing that's going on with mental health and how important it is. Why did you feel that it was important back then to do it?
That's been a workshop that I've done at the coalition in the 90s. I've actually been involved with the coalition even before the 32 years. I started that after I worked for an organization where we placed older kids for adoption. Which basically for a period of time meant we were making people's lives very difficult. And we had to figure out additional strategies for self-care. And one of the major strategies is getting people to do two things a lot more. One was laughing, and one was crying. People think laughing and crying are opposites. I consider them fraternal twins in their ability to move emotional pain, particularly in the moment that you're having the pain. And unfortunately, if you invited people to crying workshops, they probably wouldn't show up. So I started a laughter workshop that's focused on the power of the actual laughing. It's not really a humor workshop as much as it is to get people bringing more laughter into their lives. And I had the good opportunity to do it quite a few times here at the coalition. The most recently was 2013. And then up until just recently, when we went virtual, I've done that workshop at the NACAC conference since 1991.
So obviously with being at all these different places and with your background, you've had a chance to meet a lot of people, see a lot of people that many of us haven't had the opportunity to meet. But through your years, do you feel that you have mentors in this?
Well, in regard to mentors, sometimes mentors are far away up, big people, and sometimes they're very close. One of my original mentors when I started this work in the late 80s was a woman named Barbara Tremetier. She adopted, she raised 15 children, 12 were adopted. She ran an agency in Pennsylvania, and she did a preparation that was the best around. She made sure nobody got a kid unless they really, and this was before a training was mandated. She made sure that families got properly trained. I drove to York, Pennsylvania on a weekly basis just to hear her do the training. She was an amazing woman. And the major takeaway that I got that stayed with me my entire career was how important absolutely unconditional commitment it is to have to children, no matter what type of parent you are. Obviously adoptive parents, obviously birth parents, but even foster parents. You got to have a commitment to your kid's permanency future. And of course, relative parents. That was the takeaway message that stayed with me for my whole career. She was a dear friend of mine up until her passing in 2017, actually on Easter Sunday in 2017. And that's the person that I learned so much from. And I also learned so much from that mentor about what to do and also what not to do. And the interesting thing is, when I first started in this field, our parenting strategies that we taught other parents was probably not the best. Our parenting strategies very often were based on how our parents parented us. And that was not the way we needed to parent children of trauma and loss. And so in the last 15 or so years, we have learned, one of my other great mentors is somebody who's 15 years younger than me. And now he doesn't consider himself a young man, but his name is Brian Post. He showed me the new way of what we have to do by parenting our children's brains. And he brought the answer that we've been working with ever since, and how trauma and stress affect children and how we have to parent differently than the way our parents parented us. And my final mentor is one of my coworkers, a guy named Chester Jackson. We've known each other for 45 years since we were freshmen in college. We've worked together at the various agencies. Shortly after he started working for me, he found out he was a late discovery adoptee. He didn't know he was adopted, so he was 32 years old. So he brings the adoptee's perspective to my life. He brings the person of color perspective to my life. He brings the adoptive parent perspective to my life. And he and his wife adopted 3 children, all who were at least 14 when they adopted them. So that's those are my mentors: Barbara Trematia, Brian Post, and Chester Jackson.